You're not losing battles because you're weak. You're losing them because your mind is everywhere but here. It overthinks, overreacts, replays, anticipates, judges, and spirals, until you're not fighting an opponent, you're fighting your own thoughts. Takeshi was a brilliant young warrior, fast, skilled, respected. But in every real duel, he collapsed. Not from pain, from pressure, from the weight of imagined futures and unhealed memories dragging his sword through the mud. Until one day, his master said something that changed everything. Your enemy is whatever owns your mind. That's when Takeshi was sent to learn the forbidden method, a samurai technique so psychologically intense it was only taught in silence, behind sealed doors. This method doesn't teach you how to control others. It teaches you how to stop being controlled by your own mind. If you've ever lost peace to overthinking, if you've ever felt paralyzed when it mattered most, if you want to learn the way ancient warriors mastered presence, not just performance, then what Takeshi learned is something you were never taught, but were always meant to know. Let me show you the method. Autumn in the mountains comes softly. Mist curls between cedar trunks. Leaves fall without sound. In the distance, a temple bell echoes low, distant, patient. No one rushes to answer it. This is where the forbidden teachings live, not in scrolls, not in chants, but in stillness. In things too deep to be written, too dangerous to be shared casually. Only a few were ever allowed to learn them. Fewer still survived what they revealed. Not all training was about the sword. Some teachings were designed to pierce the mind, not to strengthen it, but to strip it bare, to tame the illusions hiding beneath your breath. They called it cut the mind. And it was taught only to those whose minds were on the verge of breaking. Takeshi was one of them. He wasn't weak. In fact, he was one of the most promising swordsmen in his generation, lightning fast, technically flawless, obsessive in discipline. But when real pressure came, when the air thickened with consequence, he collapsed from the inside out. His hands moved like a warrior's. His heart beat like a prisoner's. Fear, anticipation, regret, overthinking. The mind would split into 1,000 blades, each one slicing his awareness apart. He fought every duel with his opponent's body and his own mind at the same time, and the mind always won. One morning, after another tense sparring session, the temple master approached him. Calm, direct. "Takeshi," he said, "who is your true enemy?" Takeshi bowed, confused. "Whoever stands against me in combat." The master shook his head. "No." "The one who threatens our clan?" "No." "Then who?" The old man's gaze sharpened like a blade. "Your enemy is whatever owns your mind." And so began the forbidden teaching. The final duel was meant to be his triumph, a test against a senior student the moment he would prove his readiness to lead. Spectators gathered, seniors watched. His family would hear of this. But just before the first strike, a thought whispered, "What if you lose?" Then another, "What if they laugh? What if this is the moment everything falls apart?" His opponent moved. Takeshi hesitated, just for a breath, but that was enough. He was disarmed in 5 strokes. Silence. The courtyard whispered with disappointment. He has talent, but no mind. He fights ghosts. He won't last long. Takeshi bowed, left the floor, and didn't return for the rest of the day. That night, in the cold courtyard beneath a full moon, he sat with his sword across his lap. He had done everything, trained longer, practiced harder, pushed through injury and exhaustion, but he was losing battles inside that no sword could win. He stared at his reflection in the blade and whispered a truth that tasted like blood. "I have mastered the sword, but not myself." That moment did not break him. It opened him. And from that opening, the real training would begin. At dawn, the master summoned him without a word. No sword, no armor, no ritual, just silence. They walked to a hall Takeshi had never entered, sealed with weathered wood, hidden behind the inner courtyard. Inside, a single scroll hanging on the wall. Cut the mind. The master spoke quietly. A samurai who cannot cut his own thoughts will bleed in every battle. This place is not for training the body. It is where the ego is shattered, where illusion is burned away, where the blade turns inward. Takeshi bowed. The doors closed behind him. Thus began the most painful training of his life. Hours of seated meditation until his legs shook and his breath turned against him. Walking meditations in the rain, one slow step per breath, eyes fixed on nothing. Verbal strikes from the master, insults, distractions, loud noises, all designed to test his reactions. Tedious, repetitive tasks, sweeping the same stone for hours, lifting and lowering a single bowl until his patience cracked. At first he failed. His mind screamed. Thoughts attacked like arrows. This is stupid. This is wasting time. I should be training with my sword. But then in the depth of failure came the principle. The mind is not to be controlled. It is to be obeyed. Only when it is silent. Takeshi stopped trying to overpower his thoughts. He began observing them, letting them pass, cutting them not with force but with presence. One night, with a storm rising over the valley, the master appeared at his door. Come. They walked into the forest. You will stay here until morning, the master said. No food, no fire, no weapon, just you and your awareness. Takeshi bowed. The forest swallowed him. At first he was alert, intent, present. But then came the sounds, distant rustling, cracking branches, the scream of wind through trees. Then came the thoughts. Something is watching me. What if I'm attacked? What if I fail this test too? The same ghosts returned. But this time, Takeshi didn't run. He sat on the wet ground, closed his eyes, cut the thought, returned to breath, cut again, return again. Hours passed. Rain soaked him. Cold pierced him. But something deeper awakened a stillness beneath the fear, a silence beyond the storm. For the first time the mind loosened its grip, and the forest was just forest, not threat, not memory, not fear, just presence. At dawn he returned, soaked, exhausted, changed. The master bowed to him deeply, without a word. Because Takeshi had done what few ever do. He faced the true enemy, and lived. Takeshi returned to training, but now nothing was the same. He no longer moved to impress. He no longer feared mistakes. He simply moved. His strikes were slower but cleaner. His posture more relaxed but unbreakable. When sparring, he no longer fought opponents. He met moments and responded from them. One day he was matched again with the same student who humiliated him months earlier. This time, Takeshi said nothing, did nothing, just stood in quiet readiness. The fight began. The other student attacked with speed. Takeshi flowed, not reacting, responding, not defending, witnessing. The wooden swords clashed once, twice. Then the match ended. Silence. Everyone watching knew. The difference was not in skill. It was in presence. Afterward, the master pulled him aside. You have cut the mind. Now the sword can finally speak. Takeshi bowed, not in pride and understanding. Mastery was not dominance. It was awareness. Now the story shifts, because Takeshi is not a myth. He is you. He is every one of us whose mind is louder than our breath, who wakes up to anxiety, carries the weight of imagined futures, replays mistakes in the dark, fights invisible enemies in every conversation, feels stuck not because we lack power, but because we've never been taught how to hold it. The forbidden method is now yours. Cut the thought. return to presence. Cut again, return again. This is not a one-time fix. It is a daily rhythm. When you eat, eat. When you walk, walk. When you fight, be only the fight. When you breathe, know that you are breathing. Mastery is not a mountaintop. It's a return over and over to now, because the samurai does not conquer the world. He conquers himself, and then the world follows. This is the forbidden method, and now it belongs to you. Let me ask you, what is the one battle inside you that needs your presence today? Where does your mind run when it should be still? And what would your life look like if you mastered even 10% more inner awareness? If this story resonated with you, like this video, subscribe, press the bell, and share it with someone walking their own warrior path. Our other stories should be appearing on your screen. Now watch them next, and I'll see you tomorrow at the same time with a brand new video.